Good morning, everybody. I'm just having a bit of an ICT moment, but thank you so much to everybody. Thank you to being invited to Limco Queen. You do wonderful work, so I really appreciate the invitation. I would like to observe our protocol and thank everyone for coming to this first day of us as television practitioners participating in World Television Day. This is very important for us as television and media practitioners. I've had a long relationship with television. I won't mention the dates. Even about in 1981, someone had a heart attack, so. But just to say, even with ETVA, which used to be STBC, I had an uncle, my mother's brother used to work there, George Mtunzi Mabuza. So I've had a long relationship with television. I've also owned a couple of television stations. So I've had a long relationship with television. I want to talk to three audiences today. First, I'd like to talk to the journalists, the producers in this room. Those who cover all of us in government, as we are 20 ministers, parliamentarians, city councils, to say thank you for the good work that you do. I don't think sometimes we appreciate the resourcing you have to engage in. I don't think sometimes we appreciate that it's not just one person. It's a media person and a camera person, maybe a camera person or two. You follow us to the ends of the country and you ensure that the work that we do for the country is covered. Now, I'm not saying that's a request for you to, or an opportunity for you to request more money, CEO. I'm just thanking you and the coverage that you do. I'm thanking all the players. Radio is here. Nyambona Nababe. Channel S is also here. You do wonderful work for informing our nation and entertaining our nation. I also just want to say it's potentially time for us to collaborate in this space. There's many winds afoot in the media space. And I think we have to get in front of it instead of behind it. The era of only depending on advertising needs to be reviewed. The area of aggressively looking and producing strong content needs to be attended to. We play a role of being responsible by telling the news and giving stories, but we also play a role of being informers and educators. We also play a role of being entertainers. And we must be very responsible and profitable in playing these roles. I want to also have a little conversation with those of you who are young in this room, who are going to school in the creative arts, in STEM subjects or STEM degrees, to encourage you to understand that this is your time, to make you understand that the future is being molded by you and for you, to ask you to be very responsible with the degrees that you take. Ask yourself, are they industry appropriate? Are they going to be able to widen and give value to yourselves and this country? Are they able to travel the globe? We must try and expand our lives beyond our 1.2 million population. We must have Netflix stories that come from here. We must have stories that go to South Africa, all over the continent, that come from here. I think we've all seen the Nigerian movie scene and how aggressive and progressive it is. We leave it to you to tell our stories in a responsible and entertaining manner. We leave it to you to fill our broadcast channels, be they radio, be they television, be they any kind of streaming, in a manner that is responsible, but that positions us as a strong people. We leave it to you to show the world that we are at the table, both in business, culturally, and otherwise. I'd love to be able to say to you all, it's going to be easy. As the population of the world is going to be 8 billion in the next 20 to 30 years, the competition is not 1.2 million people. You're competing against 8 billion people. So every time you are submitting an assignment, be sharp. You're competing with a Chinese child, Cambodian child, an American child. Be sharp. Understand that every submission is that competition. Every piece of work is competing against those people who do not have time for a sob story, for a poor African story, but just want to compete on merit. I'd like to put it to you and to challenge all of you who are beginning the career, who are midstream of the career, who are ending the school career, to ask yourselves, how do you tell stories that will uplift this nation? How do you tell stories that will position us as a country? We cannot just be a landlocked country between South Africa and Mozambique, and therein endeth our story. There has to be a global positioning. There has to be a positioning of how important we are in the global space as a kingdom, as one of the last countries in the world to have a monarch like we do. We have to tell these stories, because when we don't tell these stories, they die off and we die off. And people can forget who we are if we don't stand up and tell our stories and be responsible and be proactive in telling our stories. The days of going around and looking for jobs is fast becoming over. We're running into a world where everybody here must look to be a creator of jobs. You are one of the fortunate few that sit in these chairs. I know that sometimes when you're young, you don't understand what has been done to get you to these tables. You don't understand the sacrifices that have taken place for your parents to get you here. You don't appreciate sometimes when you're young how important this time is. It's probably the last time you'll ever have to ask someone for money. It's the last time someone will pay your phone bill, your electric bill, your transport, your accommodation. And I know you're rushing towards this time, but when you get there and everything is looking to you and everybody's looking to you, this time will be a great time, and you will miss it if you don't take advantage of it. Be good to one another. Connect to one another. Don't ill-treat any of yourselves. Sometimes we think because we come from better off families, we can mistreat those that come from less fortunate families. Life has a funny way of showing up, where people who come from less fortunate places show up and become something major. And you need to get something from them, and they remember the bullying, and they remember the evilness, and they remember you telling them how unimportant you are, and how cool you are, and how unimportant they are. There's a lot of very important people in university who are working at McDonald's. And there's a lot of unimportant people who own Facebook and such. So I plead with you, work together, collaborate, get away from the mindset of working to get a job. Get into the mindset of working to create employment. Get into the mindset of going into kind leadership. Get into the mindset of going into integrity, governance, understanding that all you really have at the end of it all is your name. And if you can't run the race with integrity, you're not running the race. If you can't run the race with kindness, you're not running the race. If you're not running the race with understanding and fairness, you're not running the race. Now, I'm not saying be a fool. I know your mamas are not raising fools. But all I'm saying is be understanding. Stand for those who don't have places to stand. And there are many of us in this country who we see these people and these children who really, really would love to have this opportunity but don't have it. Don't waste it. Don't abuse it. Don't think it's going to come again. Opportunity does not knock all the time. It's got a time limit. So please, I beg of you, I ask you all, be future focused, be globally understanding, and be locally creative and uplifting. Thank you for this time. God bless.